Okay, hello everybody. Hi, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Just get my way so I can see you. Hi, welcome. My name is Erin O'Brien. I'm a Thermix consultant and team leader based in Druin in Victoria. But my team and I, the Mixmasters, we are bringing you another virtual class tonight, all around winter warmers. So some beautiful recipes that will keep you going, keep you warm and toasty and enjoying some delicious food over the colder months. So we would love to know, perhaps you could pop it in the chat box and let us know, where are you watching from tonight? And has winter really hit for you guys? I know there should be a few of you in Victoria, I think, where we are. But as you can tell from my big thick cardigan, where winter has well and truly struck here, so it's nice and cold. We've already been enjoying some soups and stews and all kinds of delicious food with our Thermomix. So pop it in the chat box and let us know where you are watching from tonight. Perhaps if you don't mind as well, maybe let us know if you have a Thermomix, which model you have, and perhaps what you're hoping to get out of tonight. So are you an owner that is looking for some new ideas, inspiration to help you get the most out of your Thermomix? Are you thinking about taking advantage of our amazing TM5 upgrade offer? Or are you a non-owner that is wanting to learn a little bit more about the Thermomix? Pop it in the chat box and let us know. So we are going to get straight into cooking tonight, and we're going to start off by heading over to Adele, who is going to get us started. I'll just spotlight you.
Hey everyone, I'm Adele on Instagram as homemakerhaven.blog. Tonight I am making the dessert for the group, which is the steamed chocolate cake and poached pears. So the cool thing about this is that it's a layered cooking, which normally we see in savory dishes, but this is obviously a dessert. So I'm going to hit start cooking. This one is about 10 minutes of prep time, but it's sort of split up in little segments, as you'll see. So we're starting off with 200 grams of dark chocolate broken into small pieces. So I've just got Lindt 70% dark chocolate here. I didn't press tear, but that was already weighed out, so don't stress too much. 100 grams of pouring cream. And this is going to make our ganache. So I've gone a little bit over, but that's all right. Lid on. So we've got 3 minutes at 50 degrees and it's on speed 2. Now I did find that when I practiced making this, some of the chocolate went up on the edges and didn't melt properly. So I'll probably stop it halfway through and just scrape it down just to make sure it all melts. Do you want to flick over, Erin?
Yeah, sorry, I was a bit slow there. All right, so while that's melting down, we're just going to go over and see Stephanie. I just need to find you on there, Steph. 2 seconds. Oh. Stephanie, are you there? I think we've lost her. All right, well, we'll just stick with you for a minute, Adele, and you can tell us a little bit more about what you are going to cook. Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry, I muted myself because I thought this was making a bit of noise. So I'm starting off with the ganache in this bowl, and then I'm going to switch over to another bowl, which, as everyone will probably tell you tonight, we've got our double bowl deal running, the $29 second bowl deal. So I'm going to move on to the next bowl in a minute, and that will be where I'll start the layered cooking. So I will end up with having my poached pears in here and my cake in the top in the varoma. So instead of having lots of pots and pans and things out and a cake in the oven and something on the stove, all different things that I have to watch and monitor, it just all gets to be right here. And the cooking times all line up beautifully so that it's just all ready to go at the same time.
Sorry, guys, I'm just
back on.
Not yet.
Cool. That's right. I can keep talking.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So I've already floured my buns tin, and this is one of the new ones to the mix shop. It comes in 2 sizes. So I've got the smaller one floured up for tonight. And these both fit perfectly into the varoma. So it will sit up here and it will be a steamed cake, as I said earlier. And it will just cook with the steam coming up from poaching the pears down here. These bundt tins can also cook rice in your varoma. You can do cornbreads. What else did I say? Other cakes and things like that. So really cool. Obviously, you can still use them in your oven as a regular bundt tin, but a really cool feature that fits in your varoma and allows you to cook all these new exciting things. There is a new, there's a new collection on Cookie, isn't there, for the bundt tins?
Yes, it's a all-in-one cooking, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't end up scraping down, which I'll probably do in a minute. So this is what I found the first time I made it. There's a little bit of chocolate that just sort of flicked up on the side. So I'll just set it to go for another couple of minutes once we move on to someone else. The only other thing I'll say quickly is if anyone gives this recipe a go, the first time I made it, my chocolate and cream sort of, what can happen is when you're making a ganache, it's you're emulsifying it. So if they separate, you can actually get like your chocolate, the oil will seep out of it. So if that happens, I just manually blitzed it quite quickly to sort of emulsify it again and combine it all. So if anyone gives this a go and that happens to you, don't stress. You just need to whip it up a bit. So I'm just going to go back.
Great tip.
And I might just do it for like a minute and a half.
All right, we've got Steph now, so we'll pop on over to her while that's melting again there, Adele, and we'll come back and see you afterwards. All right, we will head on over to Stephanie. You just unmute there, Steph.
Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to demonstrate the pumpkin risotto with bacon. So I'm just making sure that I've got it up. So in Cookie Do, it's the pumpkin risotto and bacon. In our family, this is a well-cooked dish. The kids love it, but we swap the peas out for some corn. So let's get started. All right, so we're just gonna start with 40 grams of Parmesan cheese. Just gonna check that up.
Is anyone making risottos at the moment with their Thermomix? I know they can be quite a popular dish because it's something that is so super and easy to make. Let us know in the chat box if you're making risotto and maybe which one is your favorite.
So I've just got some grated cheese. So I've just started with the grated cheese. Thanks for that, Erin. So I'll just put that aside. Just a matter of 10 seconds. We've got some beautiful shredded Parmesan cheese. So I'll just put that aside. Okay, and we're just putting in 500 grams of water. Now simmering fast, yeah. All right, then we'll just weigh up our pumpkin. So we're just putting in 300 grams of pumpkin in 2 centimeter squares. I just love pumpkin. All right, and then we just drizzle of olive oil and some salt and pepper to taste. This is one of like my favorite risottos. I always love just the pumpkin and how it oozes through the rice. It's just so simple. All right, so we'll put that on for 15 minutes and we'll let that cook on 100 degrees. And we'll go off to someone else while we're just waiting for the 15 minutes for this to go. All right, we'll see how it comes back, guys. Thanks for that.
Thank you. There's a couple of different favourite risottos in the chat box there. There's the bolognese risotto and the mushroom risotto. My favourite is a chicken and pumpkin one as well. I love pumpkin too, Stephanie. It's so good, especially at this time of year when it's in season. All right,
Yes.
back
I
to
have
Adele and
never
see how
heard of
that's going.
I've never heard of bolognese risotto. That sounds
Oh
yum.
yeah, that's a cookie do one too. It's
That
amazing.
sounds good.
So I finished my ganache, and as I said, I just whipped it up. I sort of took off the lid just to watch it and slowly increase the speed until I could see that it had all combined properly. It's a bit more glossy rather than separated. So that will go into a bowl to sort of sit and set a bit more. But I'm just going to swap it out for a clean bowl straight away because second bowl gives you that ability. And I'm going to keep going with, so that's telling me to separate it and clean and dry my mixing bowl, which I don't need to do. I've already greased my bundt tin and then floured it. So now I have my pears. So these are the Bosque. I don't really know how to pronounce it properly. I'm normally pretty good with that stuff. But they are peeled and then just quartered in the simmering basket with a cinnamon quill. And so that says to just put those aside for now. I'm going to go in with my butterfly whisk. And then I've got 4 egg whites. So we're going to be whipping these this is kind of what's going to help make the cake like nice and fluffy. It's not a dense cake. It's steamed. So it's sort of got that like that pudding cake kind of element to it, but it is a really nice light cake. So those go in with 50 grams of sugar. Hello. And then lid on. And that's going to whip for 3 minutes.
The recording has stopped.
All right, thank you. All right, now we are going to head over to Jess, who's going to get her dish started. I can see you there, Jess.
You see me yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hi everyone, I'm Jess. I'm based in Canova. And tonight, so I'm in the Wimmera, a bit different to everyone else in Gippsland. Tonight I'm going to make a meatball soup. So what I'll just show you here, I'm just on the main, you can see my machine, just on the home screen there. Just click on these 3 little buttons up here and I've put the recipe in my week, so in the meal planning part. This is great for planning ahead. As you can see, I've got other recipes in for the rest of the week, but this is what we're making today. So it's the Joe Witten's Wholesome Meatball Soup. So I'll just click on Start Cooking. It's just saying to lightly grease the varoma dish. I've already done that. Next one is 100 grams of almonds. So we'll just pop them in here. Okay. A tablespoon of dried herbs. Then there. Half a teaspoon of salt. And half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Put that in here. So now we are just going to mill this up. So I'll just show you there. That is our almonds and that in there. Now this is going to be really loud and I'm guessing it will definitely cut me out. Well, it should, but I'll just jump away a bit because it'll be really loud.
Has anyone made this recipe before? Pop in the chat box and let us know. It is so good. You will love it. And super easy, as Jess is about to show you.
All right, so there we have some almond meal. So that will be used to, like, instead of breadcrumbs in this recipe. So this actually makes this recipe gluten-free. So if you are allergic to nuts, so you can't have almonds, you could swap that out for breadcrumbs at that step there. So then we'll just pop in an egg. One there. And now 500 grams of lean beef mince. which I've put somewhere. Here we go. So you'll notice here, you probably can't see very well from where my camera is to my machine, but the scales on the TM6 are actually 1 gram accurate, which is really great when you're measuring out small amounts of, so you can actually measure out teaspoons now instead of having to measure them with an actual teaspoon. You can just measure the 5 grams or less if you need to. Pop that in. A little bit over, but that shouldn't matter. So now we're just going to go 10 seconds around to speed 5. So when you set the machine like this, you can turn the dial as quick as you like, and it won't go past the speed it's meant to. All right, so the next step here is same with damp hands, shape mixture into 3 centimetre wide meatballs and divide between the Veroma dish and the tray. So if you can see there, we've really nicely made that into like a meatball mince, I suppose you're saying. So now all we need to do is just make that into the meatballs and pop it into the Veroma. So I will keep going with this quickly while someone else does the next step.
Amazing. Thanks, Jess. How quick was that to make up that meatball mixture?
Yeah,
so
fast.
Jess is going to roll all of those out and pop them in the Veroma while we go back to Adele, and then we'll come back and pop the soup on.
No worries.
So my egg whites are finished whipping. So that's what they look like. I should mention as well, when you are putting your ganache in, it asks you to put a bit of Glad wrap over the top just so that it's covering it. You don't want it to sort of create a film over the top. So I did that while you guys were with Jess. But this is now going to tell me to remove my butterfly whisk and scrape it into another bowl and set it aside for later. But I actually have a third bowl handy. Benefits of being a consultant, you can actually come on and earn extra bowls and many other things. And our bunt tins actually are an incentive for new consultants that come on before, if you come on before the end of this month, with your first sale, you get a half price business kit, and with your first sale, you will get a set of the bunt tins, which is pretty cool. So we're going in with some more dark chocolate. This is a pretty decadent dessert, but I'm a little bit under. Pretty decadent dessert, but you know, it's winter. You need comfort food. So a little bit more. And it's just I've just got the 70% lint again. That'll do. And then we're going in with our unsalted butter. So that's just cubed. A good tip for anyone that already has a Thermomix. I was listening to someone say this the other day. They said that whenever they buy their butter, they just chop it up into cubes and put it in a container in the fridge straight away, because almost every recipe will ask you to have cubed butter. So just saves you time when you're actually cooking if you do it beforehand. So this is going to be another 3-minute block at 70 degrees on speed 2. So this is just going to melt everything. And I'll probably check and scrape it down midway as well, just to make sure all that chocolate is melting.
That awesome
Ready
butter
for someone
chip
else?
that butter chip was actually thanks to Jess, Adele.
Pardon?
I said that awesome butter chip was actually Jess that's on
Is
with
that
us
Jess?
tonight. Yeah, it is such a great tip. And you know what is another good one, which you'll see I'm going to at the moment shortly, is to freeze some as well. Because if you're making your own pastries and things like that, it will always ask you for frozen butter. And if you're anything like me and you don't plan ahead super
Don't
well.
plan ahead, yeah.
You
Well, when you've got 5 kids, it's easy to not plan ahead.
That's right. All right. So we will see how Jess is going, rolling all those meatballs out.
Yep, so I just rolled them all out there. So I've just got to split them up between my tray. But I can do that in a minute. All right, so the next step is to set the Veroma aside. So I've just done that. Clean and dry mixing bowl. So this is the dirty mixing bowl here. I'm not going to clean and dry it. It's like my least favorite step. I'm just going to get a new bowl. So as Adele was saying before, the second bowl is definitely a game changer. It makes you so much more efficient. All right, so now we're just going to pop in. We're making the soup now, so we're just going to pop in an onion. Just cut into quarters or into halves, however big it is. Some garlic cloves. So it's saying 2, but I'm just going to pop in 3 because I measure garlic with my heart. Capsicum, throw that in as well. And now we're just going to pop on the lid. And we're just going to chop all that up in 3 seconds. All right. So you'll see there, it's all really nicely chopped up. So we're making like a chunky soup. So we don't want it too fine. And that's perfect. And that, there was no way I would have been able to chop that up in 3 seconds. So it's definitely much quicker. But while I'm making this, tell me, who is making soup in the Thermomix at the moment? That's my most favorite part of winter. It's the only thing I like about winter is soup. All right, so we're just going to pop in some oil. It's asking for 30 grams. I kind of feel that's probably a bit too much, so I'm going to put in about 20 grams. Just remember it's guided cooking, not set in stone. So if there's something that you don't like or that you just want to swap out or you want to reduce something of, then you can. You don't have to follow it exactly. So now we're just going to fry that off for 3 minutes. So because we're going over 100 degrees, we've just got the simmering basket on top to help let the steam out. And that's just going to cook away now.
Awesome. Thank you. I agree with it's the best thing about winter is soup. We've already been enjoying quite a bit of soup in our house. All right. Is that chocolate melted or not quite, Adele?
No, we're nearly there. I just stopped it, scraped it down, and I've just added on an extra 30 seconds. But I'll quickly show you one of the cool things about the TM6 as well is if you're in the middle of cooking time and you haven't prepared everything like a cooking show ready to go, you can actually preview your next steps and see what you have to get ready. So it's going to ask me to reinsert the butterfly whisk, add in some more sugar, add in my egg yolk. So I could be getting those things ready while I'm waiting for it to get to this point. So we've now got our melted chocolate and butter. And I'm going to go next, and I'm going to take my butterfly whisk out of my other 20 bowls. And I'm going to add in 50 grams of sugar. So like Jess was saying, it's guided cooking. With baking, you probably want to be a little bit more accurate than with actual like savory cooking. But if you're a couple of grams under or over, it's really not the end of the world. Because if you think about regular cooking, you normally would be working in cups and teaspoons and things, and you have no clue whether that's a couple of grams over or under. So I always tell people, like, you don't have to, oh no, I'm over by 2 grams. I have to take 2 grams out. It's not gonna affect it that much. So don't stress. So I've got my sugar and my egg yolks in, and we've now got 20 seconds of just mixing that all together on 3.5. So again, I'm going to preview and have a look at what's coming up next. So it's going to ask me to scrape it down and then add in my plain flour and then some baking powder. So obviously right now I'm making the cake base, bit of salt. Oops. We need to go back now. Scrape it down, add in my flour. So it's looking very rich in here, guys. Looks great. It's not too bad, actually. All right. Now, I think someone mentioned this before, but if your scales are a bit off, make sure you're pressing tare before you add in your next lot of ingredients. So we only want 100 grams-ish. Ooh, I'm a bit over. That's okay. I'm not going to stress. A teaspoon of baking powder. And then a pinch of sea salt. Does anyone else here use Celtic sea salt? It's our new thing at the moment. Because this is such a dark chocolate recipe too, I found that the sea salt is really nice with it. And then my whisked egg whites. So I'm going to pop these in. If you didn't have the 2 bowls at home, you would have already dirtied a bunch of other things, transferring things in and out. So the great thing about this is, yes, I've dirtied a couple of bowls, but my Thermomix will clean them for me once I finish baking. So that's all in. And then lid back on. And we've got 30 seconds of mixing. So I've spoken to a few people recently that have said they're not really utilizing their Varoma much. I had one customer who said they've never used theirs in like the 5, 6, 7 years that they've had their Thermomix. So if you aren't making the most of your aroma, you really should start. There are some great recipes for laid cooking. I did one tonight for dinner. It was a Thai peanut chicken and coconut rice or something like that. And it actually made a lot. There was enough for 4 of us for dinner, plus my 2 little ones, and lunch for my husband for tomorrow. So it really does increase the volume of your meal when you're using the Varoma. So I'm just giving it a scrape down because it's a little bit floury. And this is telling me to remove the butterfly whisk, but because it's a bit floury, I'm actually going to go back and I might just give it another 10 seconds. So this is where it's guiding you, but you can go backwards and forwards and redo things if you really need to. So 10 seconds, I'm just going to mix it again. Yeah, that's looking a bit better. And so next, I'm going to remove the whisk and then pour it into my Varoma. So that's looking really lovely. And once it's in the in my bundt tin, I'm going to put it in the Varoma here. So maybe while I'm doing that, if you want to jump to someone else, and I'll show you what it looks like before I set it all to start cooking.
Great idea. Thank you. We'll go back to Jess and she can get her soup cooking.
All right, so that has fried off. So you can see that that's just nicely cooked down. That was the onion, the capsicum, and the garlic. So it smells delicious in our house at the moment. Now I've got to pop in the tomatoes. So it's asking for 800 grams of fresh tomatoes cut into quarters. I'm doing it this way this time. But I really think that if you needed to, you could just use a can of tomatoes. I'm sure it would work out perfectly fine. All right, that's that there. And again, I've gone a little bit over, but it's not really going to matter too much. All right, so we're just going to now chop all them up. So it'll go really loud again. All right, so that was just 10 seconds on speed 10. And you can see there that we've really pureed that up. All right, so now we're putting in 150 grams of button mushrooms. It says cut into halves. Now, I'm not sure if everyone follows along on my stories, but my kids don't like mushrooms. So I've cut them a bit smaller and I'm not putting in as much. So hopefully they will chop up a little bit more and they won't be able to pick them out this time. All right, so I've only put in about 100 grams there. Pop the lid back on. Now we're just going to chop this up. So this is just 3 seconds on speed 5. I think my daughter has issues every time I go to the supermarket and buy mushrooms. She's always like, oh, you're not going to put that in our food, are you? No, never. All right, so she shouldn't be able to pick them out of that. It just looks like a really nice rich tomato soup now. Okay, so we're going to put in 100 grams of tomato paste. Is it just me that hides vegetables in their kids' food that they think they don't like? Hopefully it's not just me.
Mum would
Alright.
never put mushrooms in your dinner. What are you talking about?
No, never. Now, another tip I learned that I'm not sure if everyone knows is when you have your tomato paste in the fridge, you store it upside down like that and it doesn't go yucky. And it lasts lots longer. All right, 100 grams of water. There we go. 2 tablespoons of chicken stock. Now, I don't bother making all the different stocks. I just make the veggie stock paste, which is what you would make with your consultant when you buy a new machine. And I just use that for everything. So put a couple of them in. 2 teaspoons of the dried Italian herbs. This is the same one that we're using in the meatballs. Put a little bit more in here. Now we need a teaspoon of honey. That in. And a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar. All right. So now it is asking to place a varoma on top. Let's move that. So I've got my varoma over here. I've put the meatballs on it. So I've got some on the tray and then some in the actual varoma as well. Just making sure that they're spread out enough that a lot of the steam can come up from the soup between all of them to cook them. Pop the lid on. And then it's just going to cook for 20 minutes on speed 2 on the varoma temperature. So the varoma temperature is above 120 degrees. And it does say here that we can prolong the time by about 5 minutes if the meatballs aren't cooked properly. So, like Adele said, I can skip ahead and see what else I've got to get prepared for, but otherwise it's just got to cook now.
Amazing. Thanks, Jess.
No
All right,
worries.
so we'll quickly go back to Adele and get hers cooking if she hasn't already, and then we'll keep moving.
No, I've waited for you. So I've
Thank
put
you.
it into my bundt tin. And because it's not going in the oven where your cake batter sort of like melts a little bit and settles, I did make sure to scrape it to sort of flatten it, if that makes sense, sort of like even it out because it was a bit clumpy when I put it in. It's a very thick cake batter. So I've gotten out one of my other bowls and I've put in a litre of water and we're now doing 100 grams of sugar. So we're getting this ready to poach our pears and cook our cake. So I don't know if anyone's poached pears before. I don't think I've done it since my patisserie days years ago. But you've sort of got to keep an eye on them on the stove and make sure that obviously they're not going too soft. This is just 20 grams of lemon juice. Yep. So this is obviously really easy because all the timing is done for us. All of these recipes are triple tested, I believe. So just a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm a little bit more liberal with vanilla because I just think it's delicious. So that's all in. Now we're getting back out our steaming basket, whoops, that has our pears and our cinnamon in it. Did I drop another one? Nope. That's going to go in and then lid on with our
Oh, we've lost you a little bit there, Adele.
because we're going to stick our aroma on top.
There
30
we go.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Is that all good?
Yep.
Yep. So we've got 30 minutes now on varoma temp speed 4. So down here it's heating up and it's going to poach those pears that are sitting in here and it's going to bubble and get all the way up to the varoma to steam our cake for us. So in 30 minutes, this is completely done. and then everything sort of just cools down a bit before assembling.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I now have time to clean up.
Awesome. All right, we are going to keep moving. We are running a little bit behind, but we'll catch up now. Sorry, I'm just going to, Steph is busy doing stuff there, but I am just letting you know her pumpkin is cooked. And we've set that aside, and she's just quickly popped on the bacon. So the next step of that is just to saute off the bacon. So just popping the bacon in the bowl and yeah, popping that on, and it cooks for about 5 minutes. So we'll come back to her when that is finished and continue on with the risotto. But
Thanks,
for
Erin.
now, no worries. Thank you. We are going to pop on over to me. So I am going to make for us tonight the platted pork pie. I'm not sure if anyone's made this one before. But we're actually going to make our own puff pastry as well, because I'm not sure if anybody has tried it before, but I promise you it is much easier and quicker than what you might think. So I'm going to get straight into it. I've saved it up into my week. Has anyone made puff pastry before? Pop it in the chat box and let me know. So it's quick puff pastry on Cookie-Doo. So into the bowl, we're going to place, so actually before I start, I have, those of you with the Team 6 should be aware that you can scale some of your recipes now on Cookie-Doo. So I've actually halved this recipe tonight because I've made some already. I don't need a huge amount of puff pastry. So this is just half of the normal recipe. It's just scaled down. So 100 grams of frozen butter. So like I said before, cut it up and pop it in your freezer. It'll save you in the long run. And then 100 grams of plain flour. So I have to admit, it actually took me a long time to make my own puff pastry. I have owned a Thermomix for a long time, and I never used to make it with my TM5. And then when I joined the team to upgrade and my TM6, I still didn't make it for a long time because I assumed that it was going to be much harder and much more time consuming than I could be bothered with. Not going to lie there. So that was some chilled water, and now we're adding in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then popping the lid on, and then just combining it 5 seconds on speed 6. Yes, I absolutely avoided it because I thought that it was going to be too hard. I've got a big young family and I'm quite busy, and I just thought, oh, I don't have time for that. But little did I know how easy it was going to be. So that is it. Then you just tip it out onto a lightly floured surface or a silicone mat. And so it does look a bit crummy to start with, and it's still it's obviously very buttery. So you're just kind of bringing it together. So like I said before, this is just half of the recipe, and I'll make this into some kind of delicious treat afterwards. And then it's just telling you to bring it together, work and shape into a bowl, and then flatten out into a rough square. So you just want to flatten it out because then you are going to pop it in the fridge. So wrap it in, it says plastic wrap, but I always just wrap it in my silicone mat. This is one of the ones from one of the oven trays because I'm using both my others at the moment. But then you can just pop it in the fridge in that rather than using plastic wrap. And you want to pop it in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so before using it again. So I'm going to quickly do my pork mixture as well. Get my other bowl. So like the girls have mentioned, we have got our 2 second bowl deals running at the moment. We have, for those of you without a Thermomix, we have our $29 second bowl with purchase running. And we also have our TM5 upgrade offer with a free second bowl. So now that I don't need the rest of this recipe, which is the puff pastry one, we could next out of it. But if we go to the 3 little dots next to the next and down to the bottom, there's a cancel recipe option as well. So we can just hit that and just saves us skipping through all those final steps. So then we're going to go back up into my wick and then pick our pie. And we're going to hit start cooking. This recipe is really quick and easy. So preheating your oven and then lining a baking tray. And into there we are going to pop 3 spring onions, just roughly sliced. Popping the lid on. And 3 seconds on speed 6 to chop those up. Just going to get my mince out of the fridge real quickly. So now it's telling us to scrape down the sides with the spatula. So I'll show you quickly. Just chopped all those spring onions up nice and quickly there for us. So into there now, it says 500 grams of pork sausages removed from their casings. So again, I've got too much happening to sit around taking pork mince out of the sausage casing. So I just use pork mince for this recipe. Look, it probably is a little bit more flavour in the sausage mince, but this is a quicker and easier option as well. The other thing I'm going to do, I've got a 700 gram lot of pork mince there, and I'm going to pop all of that in as well. I have a big family of kids that eat a lot, so I just pop all of that in to keep everybody happy. Make a little bit extra. So into there now, we are going to pop a teaspoon of dried thyme, and I'm not a big measurer, so I'm just going to throw that in there. Tell me, guys, are you guys measurers or measure, like Jess said before, with your heart? Pop it in the chat box and let us know. So a teaspoon of dried parsley as well. And then 20 grams of Worcestershire sauce. Next. And then we're going to pop the lid on again. Next again. And now I've got 5 seconds, reverse speed 4. I'll just check that because I did, so that is it, but because I did add the extra mince, it does need a bit of extra time. You can see that didn't quite combine. So I'm just going to give it a scrape down and then repeat that. So I'm just going to use the back button at the top left-hand corner and repeat it again, 5 seconds, reverse speed 4. The back button is really handy. You know, if you ever think that something's not done properly or done enough to suit you and your family, if you want to hide some veggies, like Jess was saying before, you can use the back button to re-chop things or mix whatever you want to do. That's a lot better that time. Because I added the extra mince, it definitely needed a little bit of extra time. So now it's just telling us to place some puff pastry on top and then continue on. So what I'm going to do, this is my puff pastry I prepared earlier in my baking mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll that out into a rectangle to start with. I'm just with my rolling pin, you can see. It's so handy, isn't it, Emma? So I'll roll out the first rectangle while Steph does her next step, and then we'll come back and continue on just so Steph can get that risotto cooking as well.
Okay, thanks for that, Erin. So the smell of the bacon. So at the moment, we've just got the bacon and the onion in here with some butter, and the smell's just wafting through. I love the smell of bacon in my house. So I've got the risotto rice in here, and we're just waiting for that to cook off. And like the other girls have explained, I've just been previewing to make sure that speeding up the process so we can get everything done tonight. Okay, so we're just about to add in 60 grams of dry wine. Just add that in here. Okay, and we'll just turn that back on for another minute, and then we'll be adding some water in. So what it's doing at the moment is it's just softening off the rice, and yeah, hopefully we'll get an outcome very soon once we add some water in. So sometimes I will put some bread rolls with this just to make the meal go a bit further. So that's sometimes where the second bowl really comes in handy as well. But one of the steps in the risotto is that you clean the bowl. So I've already flipped into my second bowl as well. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph. I'm just going to quickly flick back here. We'll come back to you in a second there. I'm trying to go the right way. So with your puff pastry, you want to roll it out into a rectangle. And then what you're going to do, that's kind of, what does it say to be specific? 60 by 20, 3 times as long as it is wide. I'm not going to keep going tonight because otherwise we'll be here all night. And then you're going to fold it into thirds. So I bring the top down and the top down. I should have put a bit of flour underneath that. I did on the top, but I should have done it underneath as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around in like a, let me say the words right so that it makes sense to you. And then give it a quarter turn to the left. So like I folded it that way, and then I'm going to face you, and then I'm going to do the same thing again. So rolling it out 3 times as long as it is wide. Just put a little bit more flour on the top so it's not too sticky. And then do the same thing again, and then you're going to give it one more turn and do the same. So just flour underneath.
So for anyone that hasn't made puff pastry, what Erin's doing is creating all the layers, and that butter then sits in between the layers of the dough, and it all puffs up and then gives you all those beautiful little like light layers of pastry.
Thank you for that explanation as I'm trying to roll this out.
It's taken me back to my patisserie days, Erin.
Oh, really? Oh,
Except we had a beautiful large machine that would roll it all out for us.
Put it all out for you.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm just making it just a bit bigger so that we can do our pie on it. So that's it. Pop in the chat box and let me know. Is puff pastry harder than you thought, easier than you thought? It just requires that little bit of, I suppose, thinking, forward thinking to make sure that you have put your butter in the freezer and then made it and then given it time to go back in the fridge. Ideally, after rolling it out, doing the folds, rolling it again, we would have put it back in the fridge for another little while, but we're just going to keep going today. So then I'm just going to pop our mince on there. What I might do actually, just to keep things a bit shorter tonight, I'm only going to cook half of it, and then I'll do the other bit of pastry that I cooked and do another little pie. So from there, I'll do a tiny bit more. From there, I'm going to use my dough cutter. So remember, when you're using your silicone mat, you never want to use a knife on it. You will ruin it if you do that. So I'm going to fold the ends over. Hopefully you can see it right. Fold the ends over like a little, kind of, what's the word? Encapsulating the ends a little bit. And then I'm just going to use my dough cutter to kind of make little slits along the edges. And then we're just going to fold them over. Just one at a time, side by side. And make a lovely little plate. So while I do that, we'll just quickly pop back to Steph, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do when I pop it in the oven.
Thanks, Erin. So I've just added some water. We've got the rice and the wine, the bacon and the onion cooking. So now I'm just throwing in some stock. So if you guys haven't made the stock, it's so good. I actually needed to do another batch today. So I done that earlier today, and it took like a matter of like 20 minutes, and you could just got such a large container, and I just use it for everything. It's so handy. Okay. So then we're just going to flick this back on for another 8 minutes on 100 degrees. And hopefully we'll be coming back and it'll be nice and creamy. So we'll then be adding in the pumpkin next. So thanks for that, Erin. Take it away.
Sorry, I thought I was muted. I was making a whole lot of noise in the
Oh,
background.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was making noise over you speaking. I'm just off camera because I'm just grabbing an egg quickly to brush that. Brush. My kids, does anybody else's kids take stuff out of their drawers? So helpful. I think they're both my little pastry brushes are in their toy kitchen at the moment. So I'm just going to use a little spatula to brush that on. I did see them playing with it earlier and I didn't even think about it. You've got to be able to cook like mum in the toy kitchen, don't you? Anybody else find all kinds of wonderful, weird and wonderful things in their kids' toy kitchen? It's where I usually go to search for my keys. So we're just brushing that with our brush there. Oops, I'm not on mute. I'm on spotlight. Sorry, guys. So just brushing that with my, look at that fancy pastry brush there. All right, so then I'm going to pop it on my tray and pop it in the oven. But I'm going to use, so you can see that there, but if I swing my Thermomix around again quickly, you may or may not be able to see, but when I continue on, I've done those couple of steps, brush the egg, and then it's telling us to pop our Thermomix sensor into it. So does anybody have a sensor? Pop it in the chat box and let me know. So this is, again, one of the goodies that we are so lucky to earn as consultants. It's just telling us to insert the probe into the thickest part of the pie and ensure that the reference notch, which is a little kind of notch on there, and the probe tip are inside the pie, but not touching the baking tray. So I'm just going to pop it in the end there. And so our sensor is, and then it'll register on there in a second. So it's telling us that it's going to cook it to 71 degrees. So our Thermomix, I'll pop in the oven and then keep talking. Our Thermomix will tell us when that is cooked. So I don't need to set a timer. I don't need to think about that again. Our Thermomix sensor is a wireless or Bluetooth wireless thermometer. So it connects into our Thermomix itself, and it can connect into the app on your phone as well. And you can cook all kinds of amazing things. You can do meats, cakes, what else? Breads, all kinds of things. And yeah, you can use it in the oven, you can use it on the barbecue, sometimes in the air fryer. And yeah, you can cook anything to perfection. It kind of takes that guesswork out of baking and cooking things, a bit like your Thermomix does, which is so cool. So my Thermomix will give me a little kind of notification when that is cooked to perfection, which is really cool. But we might head back to the other girls. We'll see how everyone's going. We might run probably 5 or 10 minutes over tonight. Hopefully, we'll see how long my pie takes, whether we get to see that cook tonight or not. But we'll go over to, might go to Jess first and see how she is going there.
Yep, perfect timing. All right, so I'll take the lid off there. And you can see the meatballs are cooked. So we're going to just quickly get them off. I didn't end up prolonging the time. All I did do actually was increase the speed of the blade so that I had a little bit more steam coming up. The blade was on reverse anyway, so I just increased it that way to make it a bit quicker. So I'll just quickly grab all these out because, like we've touched on plenty of times already, I have looked ahead. And I can see, so if I, so I've taken all the meatballs out, I press next, and it says place 2 large zucchinis cut into zoodles in the Varoma. So if you saw me this afternoon trying to cut these with my zoodle machine, you would have laughed as much as my kids did at me. So I'm just going to pop that in, just straight on the tray. Yes, it's where the meat has just been. However, it's all going in the same soup, so it's fine.
Hey, Jess, I've heard there might be something coming in the future that would help making those zoodles.
There might be. There might be that will be connected to the Thermomix, which would be very handy to making zoodles.
There is. We are expecting a spiralizer. I'm not sure if it's late this year or early next year that is coming as an attachment to the cutter, which is very cool, I think, which will, yeah, help you make zoodles and all kinds of fun things, which is very exciting. Always
Very
new and
exciting.
exciting things with our Thermomix.
All right, so then I'm just going to pop these on to cook for another 3 minutes. I'll just show you that they're just sitting there like that. And then you'll be able to come back and I'll be able to plate up.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Steph, how are you going there with your risotto?
Going really good. We've still got another 2 minutes to go, so we're still sizzling away, but it is coming along quite nicely. Yeah. So once
Awesome.
we've got the 2 minutes to go, then we'll be adding in the pumpkin and we can plate up as well.
Beautiful, thank you. So easy a risotto. That's I suppose what all of us love about a risotto. I don't know about you guys, but I remember when I first made a risotto pre-Thermomix a long time ago, and I was very optimistic and I had no idea how long it was going to take me. And I was there ladling the liquid in for what felt like forever. And so it still blows my mind to this day how quick and easy a risotto is with your Thermomix. All right, we'll come back to you when you're adding in that pumpkin shortly. All right, we'll go back to Adele as well.
So I've still got just over 8 minutes, but
Yeah.
because I have prepared one earlier that I'll show you in a second, if I were to skip ahead, it tells me to remove and cool everything off. So because this was a cake and I knew I needed to cool everything, I prepared one yesterday. So this is the finished result. So what ends up happening is your steamed cake will come out, cool in the tin slightly before you turn it out because it is quite a soft cake when it comes out being steamed. And then that gets sliced in half once it's cooled a bit. It's got the chocolate ganache in the middle and on the top. And then I also whipped up some cream in my Thermomix. It doesn't have it in the recipe, it just says to use a thickened cream. But I put just some pouring cream in with my butterfly whisk and just whipped that until it was nice and fluffy. And then, yeah, poached pears on top. So it smells amazing. And everyone in my family has had to hold off on eating this. So now I'm going to have two to
It
share with
looks
everyone
amazing.
over the next couple of days. But yeah, obviously right now it's a bit cold. I've had it in the fridge, but it would be a beautiful cake to warm up a little bit, or you could put like a nice chocolate sauce or something with it. Or you could even warm up the pears again before serving. So a lovely dish for winter, I think.
I think you're right. It looks like that perfect kind of warm, decadent winter dessert. So yeah, obviously that cake is steamed in the Varoma in those new bundt tins. If anybody, they are available on the Mix Shop.
Yep.
Or you can join our team and earn one, like Adele was saying, your first sale in your first 30 days. They come as a little bundle with the two sizes. So yeah, we cooked the cake in that, steaming that with the pears poached in the liquid below, which is really cool, I think, layering all that up.
Yeah.
I did see a bit of chat in the chat box about Varomas and layered meals and that. If that is something you guys would like to see from perhaps one of our upcoming virtuals, or layered meals or Varoma cooking, please let us know. And if you, at any stage you have any ideas in general for what you would like to see, what you'd like to learn more about, please reach out to one of us and let us know, or pop it in the chat box. We are very open to ideas. We all just want to help you guys love your Thermomix and get the most out of it. So if there is something in particular that we can do to help with that, please don't hesitate to let us know. It is what we're here for.
Yep.
Thanks so much,
And
Adele. Thanks for showing
our
that.
families get to benefit from it. So
absolutely. Win-win
No
for
worries.
everybody. My husband did
Oh,
ask
yeah.
me if I was making a dessert tonight, and he was very disappointed when I said I was just making dinner for tomorrow night.
Next time.
All right. Thank you so much, Adele. So, Adele, what is your social media again?
My social media is homemakerhaven.blog on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for cooking with us, and everybody go and follow Adele as well. Thank you so much. We will head back to Jess. Oh, I'm very good at it. I'm not nailing this spotlighting tonight, am I?
All right, so the zoodles are done. Another tip, which I'm sure everyone already knows, but the lid is the perfect drip tray for your Varoma. So when you're having to take it off and move it around, perfect to use the tray underneath. So the zoodles are there. We're just going to pop them on top of the meatballs. You could be putting this in bowls now, ready to serve up, but I am not, because again, I think my husband will be upset that I haven't made dessert either. I've just made lunch for tomorrow. So pop them in there. I've just got the zoodles on top of the meatballs. Go next, and now we've got our beautiful soup. So you can see in there a beautiful tomato soup. Yeah, I'll just try and do that. It's nice and a little bit chunky. And I'll just pour that over the meatballs and the zoodles. And that looks and smells delicious. Nice and hearty for a beautiful winter warmer. So just the smell of it and what it looks like, I would love to be serving that with a nice crusty bread for everyone to have. So you can't really see too much, but there it is there.
Amazing.
Can't
Thank
tip
you
out
so
too much or
much.
else it's going to tip out.
Yeah.
No worries.
It's hard to visualize that with when it's all in the one thing, but I can promise you guys, you need to try that recipe. It is delicious. The flavors are amazing, and I think with the meatballs and the zucchini, it really does make it into like a nice big meal as well. Not
Yeah, it
just
looks delicious.
the tomato soup. So give that one a try. Add that one to your to try folder. And thank you so much, Jess, for cooking for us tonight. Can you
No
please
worries.
remind everybody what your social media is as
Yes.
well?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook as Thermi Life on the Farm.
Awesome. Thank you so much for cooking with us, and
No
thank you
worries.
for sharing all of your great tips. All right, we'll head back to Stephanie and see how that risotto has finished off. Hi.
Hi. So it hasn't actually finished yet. We've still got a few minutes away before we can plate up.
That's all right.
It's coming along nicely, but yeah, sorry, I don't
No,
change
don't
it.
think. So obviously, those of you who have made risotto before will know that when your risotto initially finishes cooking, it will still be a bit watery and it still looks kind of, I suppose, undercooked, but we promise you that it is not. And the most important thing to do is leave it and let it rest for a few minutes to finish soaking up that last little bit of liquid and to finish cooking. The worst thing you can do is add extra cooking time, because then you will get an overcooked and gluggy risotto. So don't freak out that it doesn't look cooked. Just pop the lid on, walk away for a few minutes, and it will be perfect after that. All right, well, we will come back to you in a few minutes. I'll just come over to my screen quickly. All right, so my pie isn't quite finished either. I'm sorry, we ran a little bit over time tonight, but I'm not sure, you probably can't see clearly on my screen on my Thermomix, but this is the settings for the sensor. It is going to tell us, at the moment, it's telling us there's about 20 minutes left on that pie, but it can jump around a little bit depending on how the meat is cooking as it's going. But yeah, it will give me a little ding when it's finished to let me know to take it out of the oven, which is perfect. So the sensor is available on the Mix Shop as well. Reach out to your consultant if you want to learn more about them. They really are amazing and take the guesswork out of cooking so many different things. So that is pretty much it for us tonight. If you want to, I am a Thermo Loving Mum on Instagram and Facebook, and all four of us, I'll come back to Steph in a minute because I can't remember hers off the top of my head. Steph, are you there? What is your Instagram?
Yes, I'm here. Mine is Steph and her Thermo. Yeah,
Steph,
so you'll find me on.
That's right.
Yeah, so you'll find me on Instagram as well. But yeah, we've just finished the risotto now. So if you can see here, like Erin was saying,
yep. You're right.
See how it's sorry, see how it is quite watery to finish, but you leave it there for a little bit and it always tastes better the next day. It's like bolognese for me, but it's, yeah, I just love how that goes. So we're just going to put that in the thermo server. So if you don't have a thermo server, they're such a game changer. Sorry, I'll just move that there. Move this over here.
Yeah, I
see
tend
now?
to
Yeah.
make my risotto on swimming night, Steph, so then I can make it quickly before we go, and then I leave it in the jug
Yes.
to finish off while all the kids are at swimming, and then 45 minutes later we're back and it is perfect and ready to eat.
And the thermo server I thought was such an underrated, just
Yeah.
to leave it in there and how long it lasts. Like sometimes if the kids don't like the vegetables as hot as me, I'll just leave them in there and they're always warm afterwards. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for cooking with us tonight, Steph. So Steph and her thermo on Instagram. You can, like I said, come follow all of us along, and then if you, pop over to our social media tomorrow. We'll show you pictures and videos of all the finished products, including the pie and the risotto, as it's absorbed all of that beautiful liquid and finished cooking. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you have learned something new to help you get the most out of your Thermomix. If you've got any questions at all, please pop them in the chat box or reach out to your consultant. We would love to help you. As I'm sure you are aware, we have a couple of really incredible offers running at the moment. So we do have our $29 second bowl with purchase, and we do have our TM5 upgrade offer running as well, where you can upgrade from your TM5, receive $300 off the price of a TM6 and a free second bowl. And you can even keep your TM5 to keep as a second machine. You can gift it to a friend, or you could even sell it if you wanted to as well. So that's the first time we've offered that for TM5 owners, which is very exciting, and it has been super popular. So again, if you would like any information on that, please reach out to your consultant and they would love to help you. We do also have our half price business kit running until the end of this month with that extra Verona dish bundle incentive as well. So yeah, if you would like information on that, please feel free to stay on and have a chat with me or reach out to your consultant as well. But thank you so much again for joining us. We hope to see you at our next virtual. We are actually going to be running an extra one at the end of this month for the new Winter Thermomix Australia magazine launch. So keep your eyes peeled for the details on that one. And we hope to see you there. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.